So welcome everybody. Tonight we are so lucky to have a workshop which is brought to us by Rohan. And Rohan is a former student of mine from San Diego State, and I've actually known Rohan now for quite a while. Hi Rohan. He's been working with us at the rec since before we started, helping with the planning and the management. And Rohan is he's a former student, but he's also a really talented, a really gifted graphic designer. He's a professional graphic designer. He's had a lot of experience doing many different design projects. He's created covers of albums. He's worked for various groups. He's done so many different things, and he has been gracious enough to share some of his skills with us. Those of you who are in the Rec Innovation Lab know that he's creating logos for many of the companies right now, and he's going to show us how to create our own promotional materials for all those times when we as entrepreneurs undoubtedly need to make a flyer or make a business card or make a whatever it is that we need. And so he's going to show us how to do that. So with that, I will pass it on to Rohan to take it away.
Well, thank you, Professor Hertz. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. I really wish I could do this in person with a more hands-on approach, but I'll try to cover the important basics. Let's start with who I am. One sec. There we go. My name is Rohan, and I'm an illustrator and designer. I've worked with several music artists, organizations, and apparel brands to create designs and visuals. And you can check my work here on this website link. I'm going to have it on the last page as well. First, let's talk about design and why is it so important. Steve Jobs famously said that design is not about how it works, but how it performs. I think that definition has kind of evolved over time. It started from how it worked to how it performed, and it became more about efficiency and aesthetics that came along with it. But now, if you look around, I think it's more about how it impacts us. The data that is backed by Pinterest and Nielsen, it shows that there's an uprise in 3 specific areas when it comes to trending and searches. And I'll try to keep this short, but let's start with Home Hub. And that is thanks to all the technologies and things that are happening around because of COVID. We're stuck home, and we have to use technology to be more flexible with office policies. And it has never been easier to work from home, or let alone just stay at home and not leave at all. Things that people used to do outside, now home is where a lot of those things happen. And this means that there's a big growth in industries like home decor and delivery services, such as food delivery or groceries delivery. I've been using those myself. Things as simple as taking a conference call, a workout session in your living room, and then enjoying some backyard barbecue, all of those at the same time. It's never been possible before. And there's nothing truly like home at the end of the day. So here's a business tip. Help people bring more activities into their homes with things such as hobby starter kits and home decor bundles. And if you are a business-to-business brand, maybe helping your clients with how to equip remote employees. And Twitter did that recently. Starting this September, they're going to have employees give an option to work from home indefinitely. So that's kind of cool. Next is going beyond binary. If you notice, people are looking for more gender neutral options from having more flexible pronouns to having companies all over the world have inclusive products that operate clear of gender labels and colors. And these expectations have kind of extended into things such as documents and identity cards for example, or forms in your business initial outreach. So here's a business tip. See if you can make your products feel more inclusive with gender neutral options and using a variety of color schemes. Next is conscious consumption. There's a shift towards more conscious consumption because people are reevaluating their consumption impacts. And for many people, this might mean that there are fewer and more sustainable options that they can opt in for. And they expect businesses to do their part. And in a study by Nielsen, 81% of people agreed that companies should have more recyclable products or sell. And politicians are also feeling the heat because people demand action. And here's a business tip. Use product packaging or email marketing to give actionable recycling tips. Now, let's get into what you came here for, creating graphics on Canva. Now, Canva is free for most part, and you can create a lot of things such as certificates and flyers and brochures and pitch decks, or even presentations and invoices, but including social media posts and Facebook posts. So I'll do a very quick tutorial of Canva and how you can utilize basic elements. I'm sure we have all been in this problem that, oh, I really want to make this picture or this graphic for my website or my Facebook page, but I don't have any graphic design experience. But you don't have to go to a designer or a design school for that matter to do it yourself.
And I just want to remind everyone, if you do have questions for Rohan, that you can put them in the chat feature, or if you do want to ask a question directly to Rohan while we're going through with some of the tutorial, you can absolutely do that as well. Just make sure to unmute your microphone so that we can hear you.
Yeah, I'll be checking the chat afterwards. We're going to have about 20 minutes for Q&A, so please send your questions in the chat box. Now, when you log in, you're going to have your, home page. But if you click on the upper right corner, you're going to have teams, and you can join different teams. Shout out to Adrian if he's watching this. But yeah, you can have different teams for different projects. So let's say you're in a team and you have different people using Canva. You can collaborate with them using this option, and you can go back to your personal space as well. So let's go back to my personal space. And on the left side of the screen, there's an option to view all of my designs. This shows all of my current and old projects. Let's go back to recommended page, which is the home page. And here you can see all of the templates that you can use for Facebook posts, presentations, posters, YouTube thumbnails, and it has all the dimensions, so you don't have to worry about that. It does the job perfectly. Let's start with creating a flyer. So I'll just search flyer. It's gonna have 8.5 by 11 dimension. Let's see. So let's say I wanted to create a flyer for my business opening. I just search opening. There we go. So there are different templates. Let's start with one of the templates. For example, hair salon, or let me see if there's a more generic flyer. Let's see. Does anyone have any preference?
I'm looking and seeing.
And unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if there's any that are great on there. Maybe I don't know. What about that pub?
How about this blue one?
Oh yeah, the blue one's good. The blue one's good. I was just saying the one right next to it, the craft pub, but I like the blue one. I like the blue one.
Oh, that one? Yeah. I think it's very simple and it's very basic. Just gonna wait for it to open.
Yeah, that's nice. Plain blue.
Yeah, and you can add pages on your Canva file. You have page 1 and page 2. It could be something for back or front. Or if you're working on a presentation, you can have different pages, it's different slides. Then you can export that as PDF or an image. So everything here is pretty self-explanatory. You can add images, elements, and let's take a look at some of the things that we can use. So there's an option to add pictures. I can search for, let's say, oh yeah, so, oh yeah, this is one of the premium options. So for images, I always recommend a website called unsplash.com. So on Unsplash, you can get access to images that you can use for commercial use, and it's totally free for anyone. So I can search for, say, hair salon. There we go. I really like that picture, so I'm just going to download that. And I can make changes to it. So one sec, just going to close that. And I can move this around, letting me for some reason. Let's do backup here and change the template.
Might also be because we have, you know, there could be a little bit of an extra load on your.
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear my computer making the jet engine noise.
It's trying hard, right?
It's trying hard. All right. So let's say I want to put in like grand opening and for an ultimate hair salon experience. Oops. There we go. And I know because of COVID, we're kind of stuck home, but then you can just put in your date and time and location. Or let's say you were having one of these workshops, let's say something as simple as a salary negotiation. And you can have text if you want to, or you can just have RSVP at your website.
You show them, Rohan, how to ungroup if things are stuck together. Because I had trouble with that when I was first using Canvas or Canva.
I think that, yeah, I know it's very complicated for some reason, but it doesn't take a lot. You can just select the element that you're trying to ungroup, because if you look at it, it's all kind of put in together. So if I were to ungroup, I'm just going to select this whole thing and just click ungroup.
Oh,
there it is.
There we go.
So now everything is its own thing, and I can change the font if I want to. Let's say I want to have something more fancy, maybe slightly smaller text if I feel like it. And if I wanted to move this, actually, I can move it somewhere else, maybe here.
That's nice. That for me was so big. Once I figured out how to ungroup things, then I felt like I could do so much more with it.
Yeah, it opens a lot more room for functionality and things you want to add, but also if you want to customize in terms of text and font. So there's that. We got date and time. Oops. Let's do but it's very small, so I can again change the font. Oops. Apostrophe instead of 1. There we go. But that's the thing, you can select a certain thing that you want to make big, or the whole text box. So in this case, I want to make this a little smaller. So I can do that. I can change the color if I feel like it, maybe more gray, or if something that fits my brand identity. Let's say I'm really into pink and my brand is using a lot of pink elements. So I can do that.
And Rohan, are there things that have to go on every flyer? Like what would you recommend that piece of information that goes on every flyer?
Right, stuff that really needs to go on there. Well, first of all, it's very basic, but where they can contact for questions. And I always try to have it somewhere at the bottom. So let's go back to elements here on the left side of my screen, and I can add a block. So let's add a block. And let's move it, stretch it all the way across the bottom of the screen, and I can add text on top of it, which would include contact information. Just give me a very quick sec. And then you can have something, if it lets me select, there you go. You can have something as simple as please contact XYZ at xyz@gmail.com or whatever your email address is, or call at your phone number. And one thing that you can really do is make it look really nice, and that's by changing the color of it using those same branding elements. But let's make it bold because it's looking very bland. Change the text. There we go.
And Rohan, I know that a lot of people have trouble deciding how much to include on a flyer. Is it better to have less, or because we don't want to much, right?
Yeah, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication in this case, and it's better to have just the important essential information that people need to know, or else it becomes more of an infographic with so many bullet points and all of that. If there is no instruction that you want to convey, or if there's no detailed summary of your business that you want to convey, just keep things short and mention important things such as time or date of whatever you're trying to promote.
Agreed.
So some things to have: definitely place, date, time, and the title of whatever event you're trying to have or a thing that you're trying to promote. One thing that has been in trend recently is using QR codes for some of the website. So you can literally search QR codes. That's what I do. Oh, whoops, QR codes. Search QR codes, create, and you can have a QR code generator to create a QR code for your link. So let's say if I have my website listed on that flyer. If I have my website listed on that flyer, whoops, there we go. If I have a website listed on that flyer, I can use a QR code instead, so people can use their phone camera to open that. I wish I could show that in person, but say you want to have a QR code for a certain website, you can download that. Very simple. Doesn't cost anything really. Once it does that, just waiting for it. There we go. I can go back to my graphic, get to my downloads folder, and just insert that image. Make it smaller. So you can link to your website or your email address that way, and people don't have to type it in their phone, because sometimes it could be inconvenient.
Hey, Rohan, it's Julie. Have you ever made a contact card out of a QR code, or put your whole contact card into a QR code? I've done that before. And then when they scan it, it actually just creates an entire contact in their phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so once you go to your QR code generator website, it's going to have different options for creating a contact card or an email address QR code or a link to our Facebook or Twitter or whatnot. So yeah, thank you for including that.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I like to use it for the LinkedIn contact and use it, in fact, instead of a resume a lot. I've seen people using them at now job fairs quite a bit.
Hey, Rohan, can you redo what you just did? You just took the image from Unsplash, correct?
Yeah, I want that too. So
yeah. You just did that when I blinked and I didn't see it.
Yeah, you did that fast. You took an image from Unsplash, right? But how did
Unsplash, yes.
But the QR code came from Canva, right?
No, QR code came from QR code generator.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's just a website.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Right, and yeah. No, I'm using Unsplash specifically for any kind of generic image because Unsplash doesn't have any commercial or copyright problems. So you can search anything and use that image for any commercial usage, and you wouldn't have to take permission from anyone, or you wouldn't have to ask anyone or mention anyone specifically or your source. So Unsplash is really good for stock images, if you will. And these are high resolution, so you can also use them for wallpaper if you want to do that.
You're absolutely right, Rohan. I checked all that out, and they are unbelievable. I mean, good catch, because you can use them even commercially. So that's very unusual.
So I just downloaded this money generic picture from Unsplash, and so it looks like the workshop is about salary negotiation, and I want to include a picture of money because capitalism. I'm gonna include a picture of it's in my downloads folder. I literally just drag and drop, and I'll wait for it to upload. Oh, whoops. Let's try that again. There we go.
Okay, you know, you got to put a soundtrack on this now, right? Money, money, money.
It's very, but there we go. Looks like it glitched out for a bit. I'm gonna remove the extras. There we go. So I'm gonna select that image. I'm gonna stretch it all the way across so it covers everything. But I want to move it backwards. So let's do that. I'm just gonna click back, and it's gonna be at the very back. And I'm gonna add a filter to it, black and white filter, but also make it a little darker so it doesn't interfere with my text on there. There we go. And again, the typography is really important as well. But when you're choosing your image, it's also important to find something that is minimal and it doesn't interfere with the content itself too much. Let me get a different color. There we go. I want to put it on there. I'm going to use a different font size, and I'll just change the color. There we go. So I've got my time, location, time and date. And for location, you can have, now that everything is virtual, you can have a link to the Zoom meeting or whatever virtual platform that you're using for your workshop. You can include a link to that, which you can generate, a QR code to that, which you can create using QR code generator. And I'll include this in my slides as well, which Professor Hertz can share with you afterwards. So
I do have the slides available already in the Slack channel, and we'll add to them. So,
yeah. All right. So Yeah, this is a very basic kind of flyer with workshop specifics, including date, time, meeting link, questions, and you can have a company logo to your organization over here or somewhere else, wherever you prefer. But that's a very quick, basic overview of creating using Canva. Next, I'm going to get back to my keynote presentation. Oh yes, I was also going to show you how to create Facebook posts on Canva. So let's get back to that. I'm going to go on my home again, and I'll just type in Facebook. Add. And let's start with a blank canvas. We'll make this very quick. It's loading. There we go. So let's say I want to have a business a Facebook post about, say your business is temporarily closed, but you want to say that you're going to continue to serve using the internet and online. So you can do that with Canva as well. You can create a very quick Facebook post. So let's go to elements and a shape. I'm gonna have an abstract theme to it. Make this bigger. There you go. Let's say I wanna have a different color. Looks like goes very well, green and blue. Gonna have a heading text. Over here. And I can just type in the continue to serve. And I can change the formatting using these tools on the top. So we continue to serve, and I'm going to use a bold font, which is very punchy. Let's see if I can find something. Maybe this. We continue to serve, and I'm going to add another text box saying business remains open to serve our customers in light of COVID-19. And I'll change that to smaller text.
Maybe in spite of COVID-19 or?
Oh,
I don't know, it works.
whatever works instead of.
2 words.
And there you go, I got a text box. But, and I can have my timings on there as well.
Yeah.
Our virtual hours. 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Beautiful.
And here's a cool trick that I want to show you all. So if you want to include, say, a picture of a plant, and you want to have something that is transparent, and you cannot find anything in Canva, so search for plant, but I cannot find anything that I want to use. So I'm going to go on Google and go to Google and just search for a plant. click on images. And you can fine tune your search preferences. It's kind of good to know. Let's go on color, and I click on transparent. So it's going to have a transparent background to it. And I want to go to usage rights and have reuse with modification, so I can reuse it for my own purposes. And I can scroll through
I did not
all
know
of those
cool.
images. Yeah, it really lets you fine tune your search. You can search for type or whenever it was posted. Let's go back to it. All right. So let's say I found an image that I really like. Trying to see if I like something. Sure, I like this. It's very clean. And if you see, it's got this chest pattern to it, which means it's transparent, and I can use it for use it on top of any background. So I'm going to save it to my downloads. Go back to my Canva and literally drag and drop. There it is. It's got transparent background to it. I like this image a lot, and I can have it right next to my text information. So there's my Facebook ad post that I can share with my customers. So yeah, there's that. And Canva, you can use a Canva for creating pitch decks and presentations as well. For the sake of time, I'm just going to show you a sample of what I created before.
But I hope that everybody's watching this, because we're going to be doing our pitch decks in July. So this is definitely something to know how to do.
Yes, and to get there, you go back to your recommendations page and you search for, if it lets me, there we go. And if you search for something as simple as pitch deck, oops. There we go, pitch deck presentation. And there we go. So it has a lot of amazing templates that you can play with. And the best part is it's very simple to modify and use, and it works as simple as it is. Let's say I want to preview one of these. I can preview what it looks like. It doesn't look like the one I want. I can go back, look at something else. Oops, I don't want to use it. I just want to look at it. Let's go back to it. There we go. And click on these three dots, and it's going to show me a preview if it loads. There we go. Shows me a preview of the slides. I'm going to show you one that I created for a different project. Let's close that. There we go. So I can have a problem, solution, and it looks very captivating and eye-catching. So you don't have to mess around Microsoft PowerPoint or anything else if it's a lot of information to add, because Canva provides you a pre-made template that you can edit according to your preferences. And you can also add charts and figures and change numbers as well. So that's presentation on Canva. Let me check my notes if I'm missing anything.
I was going to say, Rohan, I think that, didn't your team win in our whole class presentation project for the best presentation or the most captivating?
That is right. So when I took fundamentals to entrepreneurship with Professor Hertz, I created my group slides with Canva, and our team ended up winning best pitch competition in the Zip Launchpad Center, which is also a startup incubator at SDSU. So yeah, these were our pitch deck slides.
Oh, there we are. Yeah, they won for this presentation. It was just such a clean design, which we really. Oh, show them your app that you made, the prototype.
Yes, I'm gonna get to that in just a bit.
Okay.
But yeah, I want to add that Professor Hertz does not know this, but these slides, I made them very quick in just 30 minutes. I was running late right before the presentation, and I was like, the heck am I gonna do? I opened Canva, got a very nice template, very simple, and again, as long as you have all the information beforehand, you can make anything very fast.
That's hilarious. Yeah, you won with those 30 minutes. Yeah, why do that's awesome.
Right. And say if I was going to make something in PowerPoint, it would have taken me a lot of time. So
Yeah.
thanks to Canva. Next, I was going to get into Adobe Illustrator and vector composition. There we go. So there are a lot of tools such as Sketch, which lets you create prototypes for your apps, and Adobe Illustrator. For Sketch, there's a free trial on the Mac, and it's Mac exclusive, by the way. It's not on Windows, unfortunately. And it's the only thing that is keeping me from switching to Windows. But back to the main topic. Yeah, Sketch is on Mac, and there's a free trial available. And Illustrator, so Adobe has a free package for students until May 31st. So be sure you take advantage of that and maybe get started with your team designs if you want to play with it. There's that. Now, it's very complex when it comes to Illustrator, but I will go over some few basics that can help you get started if you want to create graphic intensive images. For the most part, Canva has everything that you need, and you wouldn't have to mess with Illustrator too much. But for starters, there's pixel-based images and there's vector-based images. And the only difference that comes is scalability and the usage. Pixel-based is good for, let's say you want to post something on Instagram, or you want to post something on Facebook or whatnot. With vector-based, you can scale an image to a billboard. You can scale the image to as small as a business card, but as big as a giant poster. And it would not lose any quality or any pixels to it, because it's a vector-based image. And hopefully this image kind of gives you an idea of what I'm trying to say. So yeah. Another thing to know is layers. And layers, you can break down your design into several different layers, and that's going to help you with object placement and edits. You can utilize layers for different elements in the image, like I mentioned. Next, I'm going to give you a quick overview of creating prototypes and infographics, which you can create using Microsoft Word or Pages, or app prototypes using Sketch or Illustrator. For this demo, I'll just show you a quick infographic that I made using Pages, but you can also make this something like this on Microsoft Word. Now, you can add shapes. There we go. You can add shapes and things like that. And if you don't like that it's kind of wrapping around my text, you can turn that off as well. So, and let's say I want to move it all the way to the back. So there's that. So you can add different shapes, you can add different objects and images, but also text and small graphics. So you can create infographics using Microsoft Word or Pages if you feel like Illustrator is too complex for you or Canva is too time consuming for you. This works just as fine. And for creating app prototypes, you can again create those in Microsoft Word or Pages, but also tools such as Sketch. And like I mentioned, Sketch has a free trial, so you can take advantage of it for about 5 days or so. Export your image, and you can finish your project or whatever you're trying to make within 5 days, and you wouldn't have to pay for it if you don't want to. But you can also purchase license for Sketch as well. But Sketch lets you create these app mockups, like I have one here. And this was, by the way, the mockups that I had for my business idea for Professor Hertz's class last year. I think it's stuck for some reason, but Yeah, I was going to show you all the layers, but it just keeps loading. Oh well. But yeah, like I said, you can use tools such as Sketch for prototyping or Adobe Illustrator, and infographics you can create using Apple Pages or Microsoft Word. And there are a lot of resources like that I mentioned, such as Unsplash or Canva and Adobe and Sketch. I have them here in a slide, and you can view them and access them. One thing that I did not talk about is Over. It's an app on iPhone or iPad or Android that you can use to create stuff that you can also use Canva for, but on your phone, which makes it more mobile if you don't have access to a computer. Canva does not work as good on the phone, unfortunately. So that's why I'm recommending Over. But there's that. Let's go back to Sketch and see. I'm sorry, you were saying?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a free app, that Over? Okay.
Yes, everything here is free. Over does have a subscription, but you can also use the free version like Canva to access all the design features. Let's try using Sketch one more time. Sorry about that earlier. There we go. So Sketch, I can use Sketch for creating app prototypes and website prototypes if I want to. And if you look at this, I have very fine control over certain elements, something as simple as this little line. And this is vector based, by the way. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for me to show you the scalability. I can keep zooming in and I would not lose any pixels. It's very sharp. And if I zoom out, it's not going to look as bad either. But say a pixel-based image like the ones that we downloaded. Let's look at this QR code that we downloaded. If I zoom in, you would notice it starts to lose quality. And that is because it's a pixel-based image and it's a PNG. But a vector-based image, on the other hand, would be more sharp and it would not lose quality as long as you keep zooming in or as far as you zoom out. It does not matter. And you can search for a lot of templates for Sketch on the internet. You can just Google app UI sketch template, something as simple as that. And you can get started with creating your app concept or app prototype on Sketch, just like that. It's very simple and it's...
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I did see a question from Alec who was asking if there's a Windows version of Sketch in terms of that.
Unfortunately, there is not, and that is the only thing that is keeping me from switch to Windows. But Sketch is Mac exclusive, but a lot of these things you can do with Adobe Illustrator on Windows. So I hope that answers your question there. I know it's a bummer they don't have a Windows version, but that's what we have.
So
but Adobe Illustrator works just as fine.
Yeah, Adobe is amazing. I would love to see a workshop just on Adobe sometime if we can do that. And I know that we're just about out of time. We only have about 8-9 minutes left. And I was wondering, Rohan, if you wouldn't mind if we opened it up to questions from the audience. And
that was my last slide. If you can see my screen. Last, I was gonna just talk about my email address. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I hope everything was clear. There's my email address. If you want to search me on the internet, there's my Instagram and LinkedIn and my website there as well. So,
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rohan. We really, really appreciate this. I'll give you a round of applause. Thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful presentation. And so I did see in the chat box there were a couple of questions, and I think you might have addressed most of them in there, but I did see one little thing I just wanted to comment from Jake had said something really, really useful, I think, and that's that some of those, the QR codes that you were using, you can use different QR codes on different flyers that you're making or different channels that you're using. And then you can see which of your, which of your different marketing campaigns is generating the most interest. And we use that in,
That's right.
when we do G2, when we're actually channel testing. Go ahead, Rohan, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say you can use those for analytics and see how many people are searching using QR codes and accessing your website or your whatever you have your QR code available for, website or email. You can view analytics afterwards and see how that is performing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then there's another question from Alec, who said, when you're creating your apps in Sketch, does it only make apps for Apple products or for Google Play?
Literally anything on Sketch. You can even create logos. I use Sketch for creating logos as well. I use Adobe Illustrator, but Sketch is great for any kind of graphic intensive work, such as creating app prototypes. iPhone or Android does not matter. And if you look at these images that are created here, it does not say it's Apple. You can use this for Android as well. When you want to showcase your idea to app developers and potential investors. So it's not specific to creating iPhone apps. You can use it for Android. You can use it for creating your website wireframe. So it does not have to be just one iPhone app. And let me show you really quickly. You can create a new file. And you must have noticed it did not ask me any dimensions because it's vector based, and I can just keep on inserting shapes. Let's say I have a rectangle because my website looks like that, and I can make changes to it like that. So it's good for wireframing, things like that. So it does not have to be iPhone specific. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, this is great too, just to show how you can do a prototype for a website. So even if you don't want to create your own website, for example, that does not excuse you from creating the prototype of it. If you don't make your own app, that doesn't excuse you from making the prototype of your app. The more that you do, the less that you pay other people to do, essentially.
Yes.
So other questions from the audience? Other questions for Rohan? You can just unmute yourself and ask if you'd like.
I was just looking at the price if anyone's interested for Adobe Illustrator, and it looks like they have a sale for students, $20 a month.
Yes.
Oh, is it not free right now? I was hoping it was free. I thought it was.
I'm not sure about SD Miramar, but I know with SDSU they were offering a free complete version until May 31st because of COVID. I hope SD Miramar has some ties with Adobe as well. Should have though.
Yeah, I think it is free right now for everyone through the 31st.
Yeah, for all students, yes. It's not tied to any university. So.
And then afterwards, that is pretty cheap.
Do you need a student email?
I believe you do. Yes. With Add.edu.
That's the one thing that we've been fighting with Miramar for a long time on, about getting that EDU, and I just cannot believe that they still have not done that. Yeah, you don't get an EDU, surprisingly, with Miramar, but we're working on it. We're working on it. Other questions for Rohan? I shouldn't have made you stop if we didn't have questions. We still have a couple.
Yeah, I'm going over everything in the chat. So, yeah.
Else? So I wonder, maybe I might have. Let me think. Oh, I know. I was going to have a question about. You were talking about sharing something beforehand. What was it? And we didn't quite get to it. Was there anything else that we were talking about? Maybe getting to.
No, I was just talking about using Sketch for creating website prototypes or literally any kind of prototypes. It's not like someone asked, it doesn't have to be specific to iPhone or any other. It's just that it's you can use Mac on Sketch for Mac, but you can use any, you can create prototypes for anything else. So.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much, Rohan. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I have shared those slides with you in the Slack channel. And then I will also share a copy of this video as usual. And we will see you all again very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, and all the resources should be on here, but I'll add the QR code generator as well and send that updated slide.
Thanks,
Thank
Rohan.
you for
Rohan.
joining.
Great one. Thank you.
Hey, Rohan, did you learn all that on your own,
Yes.
or did you take a design class?